Underconsumption is the newest buzzword on the internet and probably my favorite internet trend of 2024. Underconsumption, or at least the way it's being used on the internet currently. It was born in a direct response to overconsumption. Like realistically, it's probably just a normal level of consumption, but semantics aside, it is very refreshing to see. And through this trend, people are sharing videos of their realistic makeup collections. And I'm speaking of this through the lens of makeup and beauty because that's what this channel focuses on, but underconsumption core exists far outside of the beauty realm, but I kind of want to zoom in more on beauty today because that's what we do here. In these videos, I'm seeing people share palettes they've had for years that they're still using, maybe makeup they've had for a long time, maybe a powder compact that's a little bit broken, but they're still finding a way to use it. And so today, in the spirit of underconsumption, I want to A, just talk about the topic a little bit, but B, I want to share some hacks that feel aligned with this topic and just a lot of overall ways for you to get the most out of your makeup collection. Okay, so from the start, I will admit I am probably not the person to be the poster child for underconsumption. Just by way of what I do here on the internet, I have a substantial makeup collection. As much as I try to be realistic about my collection and pass things on to friends and family if I'm not using them, even with all of that in mind, my makeup collection is not typical. It's not something that anyone should aspire to have, but I do feel like my connection to this space has, again, given me so many tips and tricks along the way that I want to share. And a big key in underconsumption is using a product until it is gone. And this first segment of tips revolves around that because there are a lot of times when we think our makeup product is gone or empty or there isn't any more left or you can't use it, but you actually can, and I'm going to share how now. The first one is the removal of the stopper. So any product that has this type of packaging to it has something called a stopper. So when I'm referring to this type of packaging, I'm talking about a concealer, a liquid product that has a doe foot, maybe a lip gloss, anything that has the body and then the applicator, generally found in this doe foot shape. The top of the packaging has something called the stopper. And what the stopper's job is to kind of squeeze the product along the wand so it doesn't goop up and you don't get way too much. So the stopper is a good thing. It's good that it's here. But once you get to the very bottom of maybe your concealer or your lip gloss, there is actually a ton of product that is still inside of there that can't come out because the stopper is blocking it. And the fix there is to take the stopper out. And I'm gonna explain how to do that, but let me throw out the disclaimer. I do not recommend doing this until you are at the very end. So let's say you're using your concealer and you're like, okay, no more is coming out. That's when you take the stopper out. Do not take it out before then or you will regret it because, again, the stopper is serving a purpose for most of the life of this product. It's helping the wand not to get super duper goopy. So once you take the stopper out, it's gonna get a little bit messy. So that's your warning there. Wait until you need to and then use this trick. So you can see the stopper. There's kind of this little lip here and you have to work all the way around there to take it out. So I found some footage of myself doing this in a video years ago that I'll show you, but I recommend trying with either pliers or tweezers, whatever you have available to you. Pliers are gonna be a little bit easier because a lot of times, depending on the structure of the packaging, it's typically in there pretty well. So sometimes tweezers aren't enough to get it out and I don't want you to break your tweezers. So if you have pliers, I would actually recommend starting there. But if you just start working all the way around the side, kind of just stick the tweezer in and then bend it and just start slowly lifting up all the way around until eventually that stopper is going to pop right out. And again, this applies to any product like this. So it could be your lip gloss, it could be your liquid blush, it could be a liquid eyeshadow. They all have that little plastic stopper on the top. And when it comes to concealer especially, when I have done this in the past, I typically get another at least 2 weeks out of the concealer. There is so much product that's kind of getting stuck in there. So you honestly, probably even more than 2 weeks, depending on how much concealer you're using. So you could easily expand the life of this by like a month, especially if this is your favorite concealer. Like, take that stopper out. There is a ton of product waiting for you. So that's number one. And I feel like that gets talked about a lot less these days, probably just because, again, there's a lot of messaging to just like buy something new, have more, have excess. But in the like early 2000s, like 2010s on beauty YouTube, I feel like that was talked about a lot, like, hey, take the stoppers out. But I don't know if that knowledge is as common these days, and it's actually really easy to do. Okay, so the next one is to repress. So I have a powder here that has a giant pan in it. And for me, I'm actually just gonna continue to use this with the large pan, and it's fine, and I can get my brush in there. But if you get even closer to the edge and you have just such a small amount sitting around the edge and you're feeling like, okay, I can't get my brush in here to evenly coat my brush, this is where repressing comes into play. Also, another great time to use this, if you had a product, you dropped it on the floor and it shattered, you can just repress it back together. It's actually so easy to do. So what you have to do is first, and this is gonna seem really counterintuitive and very scary and alarming, but you have to break it up more. So I recommend taking the bottom of your brush, break up all the powder, and really break it down. Like, you want a very fine, like crumbly sand, basically. Don't leave any chunks, really break it down. And then you want to take a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. Now, I know that sounds a little bit scary because you've always been told, you know, alcohol is not good for your skin. But the reason that works here is because once it dries, that alcohol has evaporated. I don't think you should take isopropyl alcohol on a cotton swab and rub it on your face. That would be a bad idea, but in a product like this, completely safe. So you add just a little bit to it, and then you press it down with a little bit of paper towel, press it back in, let it sit overnight to dry out, and it's brand new. Now, I know that's kind of, again, a scary thing to do, so I have a separate video that's super duper old, but I will link it down below if you want a more in-depth tutorial on how to do this, if you're feeling a little bit hesitant to try it. I promise it's easy. It's not gonna change the formula of the product. The only difference that I notice is in the press, okay? So the formula of the product, again, is not going to be changed. The color will be the same, the wear, everything like that will be the same, but the firmness in which powders are pressed affects the way that they perform for you. So something that's very loosely or lightly pressed is gonna have more kick up, it's gonna be more powdery, you're gonna get a lot more on your brush, but something that's pressed more firmly into the pan generally is a little bit harder to pick up on the brush. You might not get as much impact right away, you're gonna be building it up. So the firmness that you're pressing down will affect the way the powder picks up and then layers consequently. So that's the only difference that you'll notice is in the press of the product, but the formula is going to be the same. Also, like piggybacking off of that, I wanted to mention that you can make what a lot of people will call like a Frankenstein product. Basically, you mix multiple products together. So this could be really ideal if you have like a highlight like this that already has pretty big pan in it. Maybe you also have a blush that's like mostly used up. This is not mostly used up, but you know, just using it as a visual aid here. But you can mix these together. You can kind of become your own little cosmetic chemist. Take a little bit of the shimmery highlight, a little bit of the pigment from the blush, mix them together, and you can make your own shimmery blush. Also, you can throw in a little bit of eyeshadow in there. You're like, okay, I wanna make this a little more cool toned. Pop in a tiny bit of blue eyeshadow, just scrape a little bit into it. You can kind of make your own products. And if you're thinking, Kelly, heck no, I'm not gonna go through all that. You can also just dip into things with your brush. So you want a shimmery blush, okay. 2 taps into here, 1 tap into here, you know, mix it a little bit on your hand, maybe go back and forth. It's gonna give you the same effect as if you were to actually manually go in and mix them together. All right, next let's talk about warming up your mascara. This is another one I feel like we used to use a lot and talk about a lot, but I don't feel like people mention this method as much anymore. But if you have an older mascara, now actually before we even get into this, let me throw out the reminder that the safety of your eyes is the most important factor here. So once your mascara is past expiration date, do not try this. Do not risk it. This is more so if the mascara formula just happened to start drying up a little bit quickly, but it's not expired yet, then you can try this. But I do not recommend, do not take, even for the sake of underconsumption, do not use a mascara that's like a year old. The health of your eyes is not worth it. Okay. So anyways, disclaimer aside, you just need to heat up the tube. That's as simple as it is, and there are a lot of methods to do that. So when a mascara is starting to get a little bit dry, heating up the tube a little bit is going to almost like re-liquefy it. Not really, but it's going to change the way the consistency of it essentially. So while you're getting ready, you can put the mascara somewhere touching your body so that your body heat can heat it up. So you can put it under your armpit if that seems a little gross to you. Sometimes I'll put it like, I like to sit with my legs crossed. Sometimes I'll just put it in the little crack of my knee and just like let it sit there while I'm getting ready so it can warm up. I've also seen people take a cup of warm water, pop it in, but again, you don't really even need to do that. Just like let it touch your body heat for a little bit, and then it's gonna slightly warm up and it's going to apply a little bit less dry and feel pretty much new. And again, don't overuse this one. Don't use this on an old mascara. It is not worth it, but it is a good method to try. Next is for any pen product. So this could be your liquid eyeliner. This for me is a brow marker. But anything that has maybe like a little felt tip to it and you're getting to the end and you're thinking, okay, this is dried up, nothing is coming out of it, you can flip the tip over and then there's plenty of product in there. So let me explain. This is another one, much like removing the stopper, that I would not recommend doing until you are at the end, until you are like, okay, I might have to throw this out, nothing is coming out, then try this, but I wouldn't do it sooner than that because some products don't have this, and I have had times where I've tried it and been like, okay, well that didn't work. So wait until the very end, but then give this a try before you throw it out. So if you take your tweezers and pull the tip out, this can take a little time, you might have to just work like millimeter by millimeter to get it out, but a lot of times it looks the same on both sides and you can flip it over, work it back into the top, and then there's so much ink that is actually on the other side of it. But like I said, some of them are different. So not all of them have a pointy tip on the opposite side. But if you take it out, you can dip back in, and a lot of times there's still a ton of ink inside of here. You can grab and then put it back on. So basically just play around. It's gonna kind of depend on the product. Some are easier than others. Some will just pop right out and then you can put it back in pretty easily. Some, depending on the style of packaging and the way it's attached, you might have a harder time. But again, before you throw it out, it's worth a try. I have had so many eyeliners that had tons of product left inside that I was gonna just otherwise throw away, and I was able to get all of that extra ink out. Okay, next is cut into it. So this one might seem a little bit obvious. If you're already doing this, you're probably like, Kelly, yeah, for sure. But so often we will get to the bottom of a squeeze tube product and you get to here and you think, okay, well, I've used all of it. I mean, this one, you can tell I have not used all of it. There's a little bit left, but pretend. Usually when you get to this point, there is so much that's sitting in here, but it's impossible to squeeze it out just the way that the tube is set up. So if you snip inside of it, there's usually at least 1 to 2 weeks left of product in there. Now, this gets a little bit tricky because then it's open, but you can move that into another container. If you save a container from something else in the past, put it in there, seal it up. There's normally a ton of product left. And I will be doing that with this pretty soon here because this is the Beauty of Chosun sunscreen, my favorite sunscreen, like the best one out there. And I'm so sad I'm almost to the end of it. Every day I'm like, no. This next tip is for cream stick products. So that could be a cream blush, cream bronzer in a stick form. That could be a bullet lipstick. But I want to talk about getting every last drop of these. So this is my Merit bronzer stick, one of my favorite formulas. You can see this is very well loved. I have about this much left, which, this will take me a little time to use up. But let's pretend I am at the bottom and it's gone flat. And then I think to myself, okay, well, this is gone. No, it is not. Usually in any lipstick or twist up cream product like this, there is a ton sitting beneath here. I mean, think about it. If it actually stopped here it would break off when you tried to roll it on. You know, it has to sit a little bit beneath there to have the stability. So there's a ton of product hiding down there. So you can take whatever you have, really, a little spatula. I mean, even the opposite side of your brush, if it's clean, just kind of dip in there, get a little bit of it out. You can work it onto your hand or something and then pick that up on your brush and use it. You probably have a solid, again, couple weeks, maybe a month of product that is just sitting in the bottom. Again, if it's flat and you think, okay, it's done, it's actually not. You have a lot left. Okay, so those were the tips of getting every last drop, getting every last little bit. But now let's talk about how to use your products in different ways, because this is another way to make the most out of your collection. So I know I already talked a little bit about kind of using things in conjunction with one another. If you want a glowy blush, dip into your highlight, dip into your brush, go back and forth, and then you have a glowy blush. But this could be done in a lot of ways. My favorite example that I feel like I share semi-often, but it's taking a liquid illuminator or a liquid highlight or any product you have similar to this and mixing it in with your blush to make a glowy blush. So when the Charlotte Tilbury blushes were so viral a few years back, and don't get me wrong, it's a good formula, I like it, I recommend it, but you can pretty much replicate that if you have a few of these other products in your collection. So let's say you have some sort of a liquid illuminator like this. It could be the e.l.f. Halo Glow. I know a lot of people have this. Or maybe you have a liquid highlighter in your collection. Pull it out, take a little bit of the liquid glowy product and mix that with a liquid blush. Any liquid blush that you have, mix them together and bam, now you've got your liquid glowy blush. And the best part here is you can customize this. So if you feel like you can't find the right shade for you on the market, well, this is even better. These are shades that already work for you. You've got your highlight and your blush, and now you mix them together. Oh, right now, like bronzing drops are really big. Okay, well, do you in your collection already have a liquid glowy product like this and a liquid bronzer? Because if you do, you've got bronzer drops. You mix these together, they're gonna give you pretty much an identical appearance. And you can really play around with this as well. Like if you want more sheerness, maybe you could even do a little pump of a serum or a little pump of your moisturizer to sheer it out a little bit. Oh, do you want more pigment? Add a little bit more of the bronzer. You can mix and match. And I feel like this doesn't get talked about enough, but if you have just a few makeup products, a few key things in your collection, you can do pretty much any look. You can do a lot of mixing and matching. You know, think of a makeup artist. In their kit, they have enough products, they have a good amount of products, but they have products that strategically can be used together to achieve any desired outcome. And you can do that same thing. You know, if you've got a couple products in your collection, mix them together, mix and match, take a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You could really make anything, okay? So another one is a liquid body illuminator. This one, very easy to make. And lots of ways you could do it as well. So first of all, if you even have just like a liquid I've said liquid glowy product so many times now I can't even get the words out, but if you even just have this to begin with, you can put this on your body. You know, it's not solely designated for the face. You can use it on your body. Sorry about the sound effects. But if you didn't want to do that, you could mix it. Do you already have a body oil? Do you already have a body lotion? Mix them together, and then you have a glowy version. Now you might be thinking, okay, well, Kelly, I don't have a liquid illuminator like this. Okay, do you have a powder highlighter? Because all you have to do here is scrape off a little bit of this, mix it in with whatever mixer you're using. Again, could be a serum, could be an oil, a lotion, whatever. Mix them together, and then you have that. Or for more longevity and less stickiness, you could actually just take this highlighter and put it on your body, you know? I'm not gonna do like too much, but like you're gonna get a similar effect putting a powder highlight on your body as you would with a liquid highlight. Like, look at that, that's gorgeous. This is the comparison. This is obviously with and this is without. And the nice thing about powder is I'm not sticky. My hair is not gonna get stuck to it. So if you have this, you could use that and again, get a pretty similar effect. Now with foundation, there is way more flexibility here than we like to talk about. Like you really only need one or two foundations, okay? So a skin tint, a tinted moisturizer, like these are things you can essentially make with skincare products mixed in with your complexion products. Okay, so for example, I've got my favorite foundation at the moment, the Fenty Soft Lip. This is a bit more of a medium coverage, but let's say this is the only foundation I have, and today I don't want to do medium coverage. I want to sheer it out a little bit. Okay, well, mix in a little bit of a serum, of a moisturizer, mix them together, and now you've sheared out the foundation. You've even given yourself a little bit of a skincare benefit, you know, because we mixed that in. And you're still gonna get the shade and a little bit of the pigment from the foundation, but now it's a little bit more of that light coverage effect that you're after. And I've mixed and matched my foundations with so many things, like mix it in with moisturizer, mix it in with primers that I have, with liquid illuminators that I have, or with liquid bronzers if your foundation shade is a little bit different seasonally, depending on if you have a tan or not. You can easily adjust that with a little bit of liquid bronzer. Next is using products on other parts of your face. So a lipstick doesn't just have to exist on your lips. If you want a cream blush, that's basically what this is. Just put it on your cheeks. Now, some formulas maybe are gonna be a little bit more conducive to this, some maybe are not, depending on how like waxy or balmy they are, but try it out, why not? And that also gives you the added benefit of a really cohesive look, just kind of having those shades already matching. Or even, I have a lot of these liquid eyeshadows from About Face, and I've used these outside of my eyes, okay? This one right here is the shade Swell Before Rain. This is a really great, I mean, for my skin tone, like cool toned contour shade. That's perfect for that. Or even this very, very, very light pink. This is the shade On Point. I have used this both like mixed in for a blush, like it's a super light pink. So I do mix it in a little bit, but I've also used this when I wanted to try the bright pink under eye and I was seeing people buy like bright pink concealer to try on their under eye. I thought, what do I have that I could use? And you could just mix a blush with your concealer and try that, like a liquid blush. But I was like, oh wait, I have this. So I tried that. Got to test out that concealer trend. Decided, I kind of like it. I have fun with it. I would try wearing it when I wanted to, but probably wouldn't be my everyday. But if I want to use that, I have this product that I can use on that portion of my face instead. If you're wanting to make your own color corrector for under your eyes or somewhere else on your face, look through your collection and see what you have that would be the right tone. You just need to go opposite on the color wheel. So let's say you have a lot of blue on your under eyes. You're maybe gonna want something like peachy or orangey to counteract that. Do you have a peachy lipstick or a peachy blush? You could try that on its own, or you could mix it in with your concealer to get a little bit more of a sheared out version. The possibilities are endless. Like, you can put things in different spots. And again, this is what makeup artists are doing. Now I also have a perfume. Just like, this is not a hack, this is just a reminder. Even a reminder for myself, because layering perfumes expands your possibilities like never before, okay? So the other day I had a friend visiting. She was wearing the most delicious perfume. I'm like, okay, what are you wearing? And in my head, I'm like, okay, I should go buy that. It smells so great. But then I thought, no, I have plenty of perfumes. I need to not buy that. But what do I have that could give me a similar effect? So if you go and look up the notes for that perfume, look at the perfumes that you have. What do you have that has similar notes? You can try layering them. And her perfume was this really interesting combo of like rose and vanilla. So I'm like, okay, well, what do I have that's rose and vanilla? So I've got Ellis Brooklyn Rose, and I have this vanilla from Finery. It's called Sweet on the Outside. So I was trying yesterday, I was like layering these. I'm like, I don't know if this is quite right, but I do kind of like it. And then I was inspired, like, okay, well, this kind of smells nice. Maybe I should try this. What else could I be mixing together? And you can have fun with it and expand your options without having to buy something new whenever you have like the urge for a new scent profile. So I hope this video was interesting or enjoyable in some way. Thank you so much for watching, and I will go ahead and see you in my next one. Bye.